All right, guys, welcome back. We're in the thick of it now. So if you're coming from the last video, this was lab 3. We just created a table, the CSV underscore data table. And then in task 3, we auto rest enabled it, showed you how to do that, how quick that was with just a few right clicks. And now what we're doing is lab 4, we are introducing this business logic, which is supposed to act as kind of like a representation or a proxy of like other operations. They're stored in your database. And we'll walk through that, and then, well, actually, let me back up. So before we do that, we are loading even more data. So if you see, load a CSV file containing over 2 million rows into the CSV data table. And I discussed in the last video how we're going to do that with the ORDS Batchload API. And that's something that's created for you when you auto rest enable a table. So if we're back here at my table, my CSV data table, if I go to rest and curl command, that's how you find those. And then this is our entire batchload command right here. I should say that's how you find those. That's one way how you find those. So you can actually go to your REST workshop, and then you can click on auto rest. From here, you can click on this guy here, and you can get your curl commands this way. Also, if you want the OpenAPI view, you've probably seen this in, this is based off of Swagger, the Swagger editor, if you know what that is, but you can stay in here and you can test this stuff out here. This is like if I wanted to try this out, I can execute this. And not only do we give you the curl command here, but down here we show you the response. And then there's some other response headers. Okay, where was I? I believe that we're doing most of this in the cloud console. You can also do this in your terminal or command prompt on your workstation if you want. You don't have to use the cloud console, but we're going to show you how to do that just so you're aware of its existence. And I guess how easy it is, you know, because you're already here. I suppose that's the logic. You're already here. It's like, why? Trying to reduce switching costs, I believe. I clicked this icon here, and then I clicked Cloud Shell. And if this is your first time using this, it may take a little bit of time. I mean, like a minute maybe for this to kind of start up. While we're waiting for that, we'll just follow along here. We're going to click on this little hamburger icon here, and I'm going to go to SQL, just so I'm mimicking what the lab says. And then we're going to right click on CSV data. So right click, scroll down to rest, and then move to curl command. You see our endpoints here on the left. We're going to click on Batchload, and you got a couple icons here. So this one's a copy icon, copy to clipboard. And this one, you can actually choose your environment. We've got options for command prompt, PowerShell, and Bash. I'm clicking Bash. We're gonna copy this guy here. So you wanna save this in a notes application. So I'm just gonna use text edit, and then I'll put this guy here. Actually, I'm just gonna do this. We'll just have 2 different screens. So we say open the Cloud Shell, which we already have here. And you can do that from any screen. You see I'm still in this buckets screen, doesn't matter. And so we're up and running here. If this is your first time doing this, you'll see a tutorial, which I don't know much about this command line. The tutorial was really helpful. I would recommend you actually going through the tutorial, but we do have some information here as to what you can expect in the Cloud Shell, you know. We also want this. So what this is doing is this is saying, take the, well, we're saying this output of what we're about to get. We're going to call it 2M CSV, and we're getting it from this cloud storage right here, which is that pre-authenticated request. And incidentally, it's also being stored as 2m.csv. So we want to just copy this, and we can go to our cloud console, and we could save this locally. I say locally, but in your Cloud Shell. We're in our top level directory right now. Actually, if you do ls all, you could see all the cool stuff that's in there, but we don't need to see all that stuff. Yeah, so you see 2m.csv, so it's in there. And now what we're saying is you can still do this in your Cloud Shell here. The original curl command that we took from here, okay, we're going to add some modifications to it. And I have this little graphic here for you to show you like everything that you're going to change. But then we also have the code here that you can copy. So if you're lazy, you can just copy it and then just put your stuff in there. I don't actually think that we need this. This is like an old syntax for curl, but it's not going to do anything. Everything else you should be able to leave the same. The user is your admin user. That's the, hold on, that's the user that we're logged in as. If you look up here, you can see that we're the admin user or the schema. And then we need to add our password. And then actually this part here, you'll need to replace with your own ORDS endpoint, right? So I'm going to copy this, and then I will put this here, okay? The question mark denotes that the rest is a URL query parameter. So we're saying here, when you do this load, batch the rows in groups of 5,000, and then if you have errors, you can continue, but if we exceed 20, then just stop the batch load altogether. I'm going to change this to just a plain text. Everything's consistent. I believe that this last line is still being interpreted as a full line, so you don't need this like new line. I'm sorry, I believe that's called a carriage return, right? You don't need that. All right, so everything looks good. So I've just highlighted and copied this. Now I can take this back to my Cloud Shell. Actually, let me just make sure that that's what we're doing. Oh, before executing this curl command, ensure that you cd to the directory that contains the CSV file. You should be in there, but if not, you can always cd, back to that top level folder. So 2M is in there, so that's good. And then we're saying just execute the command. So if I go over here, I can do a Control V, and then again, everything looks good. Just double checking. This is interesting. I have like a little guy here. It says bash event not found. I wonder what's happening there. All right. So the thing that was tripping me up is if I copy and paste everything in here, so I have this bash, I guess that's a shebang, right? And then it was prompting me for more info, which because I copy and pasted it, it automatically just put that last line in there. And that was tripping me up. But if I hit enter, it worked. And you can see all of our info here. This is the product of the write out option that we use. And that's a curl thing. That's not a Cloud Shell thing. It's just helpful to have that information. But you can see here, I lied. So I said well, no, I didn't lie. I said over 2 million, so it is over 2 million rows. So it's 2,097,148, no errors. And then you can see the last info, last row processed in final committed batch. Well, that shows you your last row, and then it's processed without errors. That's cool. So now I think what we should do is we should say, go back here, just go ahead and hit refresh, and then click open, and then click data, just so you can kind of visually see. Now what we're doing is we're saying, all right, we're going to add business logic. So essentially what we're doing here is we're just introducing, I guess this is just if you're not familiar with PL SQL or just the procedures. If you are, then you can probably skip this and go to Lab 5, honestly. But if you just want to walk through this with me, what we're saying is we have this procedure, and then it's going to have some input parameters, and then it'll have some output parameters. So it's going to accept a varchar2 or like an alphanumeric character, and then it's going to output something, and that something is going to be a number. Okay, so we've just declared these parameters here, and then it's saying this procedure, which we're calling return count, has these characteristics, is this. Okay, begin. So this is like the begin and the end block. You're going to select the count into P output. Okay, so this is maybe kind of confusing because it's kind of working in reverse almost. But there's going to be some product of something. It's going to be the count, and then that whatever the result of that is going to be put into the P output parameter. It's going to be like exported. It's going to be sent away to something or somebody. And where we're going to get all that stuff is from our CSV data table. And we have some conditions here. So the conditions are, we're focusing on column 2, and we only want the count of like the total results, where the input that we provide, whatever value is in column 2, is equal to that input, and then just return count. That's what's happening here. So we copy this. This is going to make sense here in a second, because what we're doing is we're just showing you this procedure, creating this procedure, and you can run a SQL script. So you can run statements, individual statements, or you can run the script. So we just run script, and you'll see in the script output. If you click run statement, it'll be in the query result. If you run the script, it'll be in the script output, and says, okay, procedure return count is compiled. And actually, if you want, you can go to our little navigator tab here. You can click on procedures, and it'll be there. And then you can do the same thing. You can open it. No, and Of course, it's going to be the same thing that we just did, right? But you see how that was done. And then it shows you these parameters here. All right, so that's where we are. So we just did that. Now we're using this anonymous block. It doesn't have any name or anything of code. So another way of looking at this is like, say for instance, you have like some sort of user interface and the user has a list of selectable values. And say for instance, they select A1. That's kind of what we're simulating here. So P input is A1. And then P output is equal to, or P output is going to be whatever L output is. And then we use this output put line package here, procedure, to say whatever happens in here, the P output, because again, P output is an out parameter. So like return count does its number crunching, and then return count returns to P output. So all that stuff happens internally. But in order for us to make this visible, we're using this package and procedure here. So hopefully that makes sense. So if we copy this, what we'll see down here is L output. Oh, I need to go to a worksheet here. All right, so we'll do run script. We should see script output. Oh, we need to make this lowercase here. Depending on what version you have, if you're watching this, if capital A doesn't work, then you need to use lowercase a. I think I need to make a note of that in the notes. And so then that will work. That's a me being dumb issue. That's a me recognizing that I made a mistake issue. So if you're watching this video, great. And for those people that aren't, you'll never see this, but I apologize. I need to change that. So, okay, so that's how that works. A very long-winded way of saying, okay, we've got some procedures, we're interacting with it. Now in the next lab, we're going to turn the dial up to 11, and we're going to make some APIs based off of the little fun stuff that we just did. I hope this was helpful, and here are the objectives for Lab 5. We're going to create custom APIs. I already showed you the OpenAPI view, but why the heck not? We'll just look at it again. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.